what what are some negative things that you've seen play out over the past several years, or stories that you've heard from people that you've interviewed? Um,
Yeah, well, as far as as far as some I see these. First of all, when we first got started, everybody we met, part of the reason we wanted to start the podcast is because just about every darn person we met was a very nice, kind person. They treated you like quote unquote family. I mean,
mhm.
loosely speaking. Um, they were very kind. Would share things. He was always in the culture. It was always a thing to share with people.
Mhm.
That was the big thing. When you sit down around a circle and you were to smoke a bowl, it was a sharing experience, and you shared your weed.
Mhm.
And it didn't matter if you spent $50 for that eighth, and every bowl was worth about $5. I
Mhm.
mean, it was giving, and you cared, and it was social, and a lot of interaction. And now, because of business getting involved and regulation, all the stuff that has to come with it,
Mhm.
and then the size that it's growing and the speed that it's growing has now made people almost pitted against each other.
Mhm.
There's a lot of arguing. There's a lot of I did it first.
Yeah.
Uh, I invented it. I do it better. You don't do it right. Mine's cleaner. Mine's clear. I mean, you could whatever adjective you want to use. It's something is bigger, better, stronger, faster. I did it
Mhm.
first, and that's unfortunate because what I saw coming out of the industry at first was this: Oregon makes fire, and we're gonna bring it.
Right.
Right. And that's what it was. That's what was happening. And you saw these, it started out as this horrible looking concentrate. And now we got stuff that I talk to people from other states and they've never seen it before.
Right.
We're taking it to levels never seen before. That's great. Bring it. But it's bred this, part of this is social media too, but it's bred this real bad aura
Mhm.
amongst the culture. And now people are, as we are, everybody has to be on a team. And so that we split into teams. Now you're team this person and team that person.
Yep.
And it's just become this big playground. And so that's unfortunate. And I try to keep promoting, yeah, you are doing great. Yeah, you are top of your game. Yeah, you did almost do it first.
Right. You were
But
one of the first.
let's bring it and let's enjoy it and leave your ego at home.
Yeah.
So that's
Well,
my biggest thing.
yeah, and definitely social media exacerbates that, and not
Yep.
just with cannabis, all kinds of things. The tribalism issue is a problem broadly, but that's something I definitely noticed too, because in the days of the medical program, which I only caught the tail end of that, but it was much more community driven. Um, One thing I noticed, and I'm interested to hear if you've noticed the same thing, that a lot of people that during the days of the medical program were all about patients. Everything is, patients first, that sort of thing. That seems to have largely gone away. Um, I, and it seems to be more, and I understand why. It's definitely profit driven because you're in a totally different game now that's being played, and it's a relatively hard game to make money at, which is people in other states don't necessarily understand that. That all of these growers and extractors, even the testing labs, like they're not making huge amounts of money. I mean, there might be a handful that are, but for the most part, everyone's struggling to make it through this roller coaster of regulatory changes and um, market changes and influx of competition, overproduction, all these different issues, and so that leads to a more competitive mentality. And I don't see much focus on the consumers that much anymore about trying to take more pride in trying to go above and beyond what's required to make sure that people have sort of high grade medical quality cannabis products, because a lot of people that haven't renewed their medical cards, they're still go into dispensaries, they still have medical issues that they're treating with cannabis. They just aren't getting medical cards. But it seems like there's just not much attention on that demographic anymore.
No, and it's unfortunate, and that's where we try. I would like to see podcasts like yours help educate consumers and people in general, because not only is it hard for farms and these businesses, dispensaries, and everybody that's a part of it, not only is it hard to follow or keep up with the regulation changes and the changes in the industry and the finicky consumers that we are and stuff, but it's hard for the consumers to keep up with all them and all that stuff too.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah.
and a lot of the problem is that there's a lot of misinformation or information that comes from ignorance, or gray areas where people aren't getting the right information or the full information. And there's not a lot of resources. Like, you can't just go buy a guide, dummy, Cannabis Consumer 101. And so I think there's a lot of people out there using it as medicine and making purchases that they may not have to or should, or not. They're kind of misguided. So hopefully that we can bring, as podcasts like we can bring information that needs to be talked about and try to open up different answers, different things that people can say, oh yeah, okay, well, I should have thought about it that way, or maybe I should think about it that way, or maybe that's not the way I wanted to go. But it's hard, I believe, for consumers to keep up with all this. And then you layer that's just THC, and then you layer that with the CBD craze, and it just becomes this big ball of ever changing madness